I'm here with Ms. Taylor. She's an expert on the interview process, helping kids through the scholarship admissions process. Ms. Taylor, would you tell us a little bit about your background, please?
Yes, well, for the last few years, I've worked on publications related to the college experience,
Right.
focused on helping students choose a college, pay for college, gear themselves up for life at college, and also for helping their parents understand what the college experience is about.
Where did you go to college?
I'm a graduate of Taylor University in Upland, Indiana.
Fantastic. What was your major?
I majored in mass communications journalism and English writing and minored in PR.
Oh, this is going to be too easy. Listen, I need the students to understand that there's one critical aspect of the interview skills and interview processes that we have to relay, and that's what Ms. Taylor is going to help us with today. You need to understand that scholarships and college admissions programs will all require interviews. The interview for college programs is pretty simplistic. There's some basic rules that we have to do. Did you find in your experience that interviews were, one, required, and two, did you work on those?
I did. I think that the interview is a great opportunity to really present yourself to the colleges and universities and scholarship programs that you're interested in. It's a way to differentiate yourself from the other applicants.
Right, exactly. Or win the scholarship. Now, there's some basic keys that you have to know. First one is practice. Practice doesn't mean standing in front of a mirror and talking to yourself back and forth. It generally means working with others, working with parents or friends. What was your experience in that area, and what do you coach students on?
Well, one thing that I did was I practiced with my parents. I think I talked to my guidance counselor, just trying to get a feel for what kinds of general questions I might be asked. Another thing I worked on, and this is something I definitely recommend for students, is to monitor yourself. Watch and see if you tend to add ums and likes in your speech, because those can make you sound less intelligent than you really are.
It's fantastic advice. One of the things I want the students to also understand is to guide the interview process. You're going to come in and meet people like me or like you, directors of admission, people that are offering scholarships, and we have a list in our drawer of general questions we're going to ask. Now, if you want me to ask the general questions in the 10 or 15 minutes that I have with you, then come in unprepared, don't have a resume with you, and you'll get the standard questions. Now, the best way to do it is to hand me a resume. Hand people like me a resume, because I'm going to look at those areas. Now, did you develop a resume?
I did. I think a resume is a great way to tell a story about yourself on paper, and it allows you to really make the interview process work for you, because you get to talk about things you're already knowledgeable about.
That's so key. Everything that I'm going to ask Ms. Taylor on this particular piece, she's already done. She's already going to know it. Let's set up the resume real simply. I need 9th grade through 12th grade. Personal experience. Now, we've already got some personal experience from Ms. Taylor, so we don't have to do that again. But academic work, what kind of examples of academic work do you want me to list on the resume?
One thing that students should list, really you should think about anything related to numbers, because these are things that can help people compare you to other students who are applying for the same kinds of scholarships. For example, that would be your GPA, your test scores on the ACT and SAT, your class rank, other numbers that help them get a good sense of who you are.
Exactly, right on target. Now, next are extracurricular activities like clubs and sports that you're involved with. What do you coach folks on? What did you put on your resume for college? Clubs, sports background.
Well, in my experience, I was really into cheerleading, so I listed that on my resume. I listed the years that I'd been involved, the fact that we'd had to raise funds for camp, the awards that we had won, the leadership opportunities that had come to me as a result of my participation.
Right, so many times the students will ask me about the clubs and the activities and the sports that they were in, and you know, just because I was in a particular event or a particular club, should I list that piece? I wasn't the president, I wasn't the secretary. You don't have to be the president of the senior class. You don't have to be the valedictorian. You don't have to be the vice president of DECA or Beta or National Honor Society. You just need to participate. What admissions officers are looking for are well-rounded students. Well-rounded students are students that participate. They don't have to lead necessarily, but participate. The next piece on the resume that I need on there is work experience. Did you work before high school?
I did work, yes, and I listed internships that I had done, because those had helped me get a sense of what I wanted to do in my career, some retail jobs that I had done, some marketing research jobs on the telephone. All of these were ways to demonstrate that I had developed skills, that I could listen and take directions, that I was used to accomplishing a goal and working with others.
The same exact stuff that we're looking for from the admissions perspective. Can they show up on time? Can they handle simple tasks? Will they be a student that can compete, that doesn't have to have mom or dad over their shoulder pushing them along? So any kind of work is important for us to list on that resume, because it's an important fact for me in considering your admissions, and it's an important fact for all schools, in considering your admission status. Now, we've done some real basics. We're going to close the resume with a goal statement. My goal statement is generally something like, I would like to be accepted at a Tier 1 college, 4-year institution. What were your goal statements?
My goals were to find a way to become an interesting person to talk to, which demonstrated why I chose a liberal arts school. I knew that I wanted to learn how to tell stories well through journalism. I wasn't completely clear on which form yet, but wanted to offer that as a goal. So those were a couple of things that I focused on.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Next is what I call protocol, which kind of covers a bunch of areas. That covers posture, tone, cadence, pace. You need to practice those, and we've talked about that. It's very important to make eye contact. It's very important to be able to listen for a moment, think about what you're going to say before you say it, and then give some kind of an answer. And I'll go back to what I've said at least a couple of times now. We don't have to have that you move the world in your answer. We just need to know that you thought it through and that you have an explanation that makes some kind of sense to us. Last, in the protocol area, and it may sound a little bit too formal, but it's just so important that in this day and age you remember a real basic one. Yes or no, sir, yes ma'am, and no ma'am. How do you feel about that?
I agree completely, Terry. That's something that will really set you apart. It demonstrates that you're respectful, that you're really invested in the process, you're serious about presenting yourself well and earning scholarships and gaining admission.
Yep, exactly. Now, last, and I'll close this off. I need you and I need the students to leave a simple photo with their resume and their application package that they're submitting for that scholarship interview or for that admissions interview. I want those admissions directors to recognize that person. Oh, when I was talking to Ms. Taylor, I remember talking to her and she was, oh, here's a picture of her. I want them to know you when you're walking away from that. A little bit of practice, some common sense stuff, controlling the interview, leaving a photograph, all makes the interview process very simple.